A broken yellow centerline means that A. You can pass on the left if there is no traffic coming from the opposite direction. B. You can pass on the right if there is no traffic coming from the opposite direction. C. You may not pass under any circumstances. D. You can only pass if there is also a road sign that allows it. A broken yellow centerline means that A. You can pass on the left if there is no traffic coming from the opposite direction. A broken yellow centerline dividing lanes of traffic moving in opposite directions indicates that passing on the left is permitted when the road is clear of traffic moving the other way. If a two-lane road is divided by a single, broken yellow line, that means that traffic moving in either direction is allowed to use the opposite lane to pass. If you pass a working emergency vehicle stopped on the side of a freeway, you are to A. Stop near the emergency vehicle to check if they need help. B. Speed up to get past the emergency vehicle quickly. C. Pull over to the right side of the road and come to a stop. D. Vacate the closest lane if safe and possible to do so. If you pass a working emergency vehicle stopped on the side of a freeway, you are to D. Vacate the closest lane if safe and possible to do so. If traffic or conditions do not allow you to vacate the closest lane, reduce your speed and pass the emergency vehicle as safely as possible. In many states, this is known as the move over law. What vehicles must stop at all railroad crossings? A. Passenger buses. B. School buses. C. Trucks transporting hazardous materials. D. All of these. What vehicles must stop at all railroad crossings? D. All of these. There are certain vehicles that are required to stop at all railroad crossings before crossing the tracks, regardless of whether or not the gate is down or lights are flashing. If you are driving behind one of these vehicles as you approach the railroad crossing, you should be prepared to stop. Do not attempt to pass them to get around the tracks more quickly. You should look at least how many seconds ahead of your car? A. 1 to 2. B. 2 to 5. C. 5 to 7. D. 10 to 15. You should look at least D. 10 to 15 seconds ahead of your car. Scanning the road ahead of you is an important defensive driving skill to develop. To ensure that you have enough time and space to react to potential hazards ahead of you, it is recommended that you look about 10 to 15 seconds down the road. This will give you enough time to identify hazards you're approaching and make the necessary adjustments to avoid them. A good space cushion is likely to A. Give you more time and space to react to hazards. B. Prevent you from following other vehicles too closely. C. Provide you with more room for evasive maneuvers. D. All of these. A good space cushion is likely to D. All of these. A proper space cushion all around your vehicle is one of the most important aspects to driving defensively and being a safe driver. A space cushion, which consists of adequate space in front, behind, and to the sides of your vehicles, gives you more time and space to react to hazards on the road. When should you increase your following distance to 4 seconds? A. In bad weather and poor conditions. B. In school zones. C. In business districts. D. On rural roads. When should you increase your following distance to 4 seconds? A. In bad weather and poor conditions. Using a proper following distance ensures that you will not follow other drivers too closely, you won't hit another driver from behind, and you'll have more time and space to react to hazards as you drive. In bad weather or poor conditions, you should increase your following distance to at least 4 seconds. This should give you enough time to react and stop or maneuver if you need to. What do yellow curbs mean? A. Loading zone. B. Handicap parking. C. Fire hydrant. D. Emergency parking only. What do yellow curbs mean? A. Loading zone. The color painted onto a curb alongside of the road communicates whether or not you can park there and what type of parking is allowed. A yellow curb is used to indicate a loading zone for passengers or cargo. When you see a yellow curb, you are typically allowed to park there only as long as it takes for you to pick up or drop off passengers or freight. What does a double solid white line mean? A. Traffic moves in the same direction and passing or changing lanes over the lines is not permitted. B. Traffic moves in the opposite direction and passing is not permitted. C. Traffic moves in the same direction and passing or changing lanes over the lines is allowed. D. Traffic moves in the opposite direction and passing is allowed. What does a double solid white line mean? A. Traffic moves in the same direction and passing or changing lanes over the lines is not permitted. White lines are used to indicate lanes of traffic moving in the same direction, the edge of the road, and limit lines. A double solid white line is used between two lanes of traffic moving in the same direction when passing or changing lanes by crossing the lines is not allowed. You can think of the double solid white lines as a barrier that cannot be crossed. Low beam headlights are only effective for speeds up to A. 55 miles per hour, B. 45 miles per hour, C. 35 miles per hour, D. 25 miles per hour. Low beam headlights are only effective for speeds up to D. 25 miles per hour. Your car's low beam headlights are designed to illuminate the road ahead of you for about 160 feet, and are only effective for speeds of about 20 to 25 miles per hour. In order to react to a hazard, you need to first identify it, begin to take the necessary actions, and execute an evasive maneuver or stop. If you are driving at night on a dark road, you may only be able to see and react to what is lit up by your headlights. This is where the phrase overdriving your headlights comes from. A single broken. What color line shows traffic flowing in opposite directions? A. Blue. B. White. C. Yellow. D. Red. A single broken, C. Yellow line shows traffic flowing in opposite directions. Yellow lines divide lanes of traffic that move in the opposite directions. A single, broken yellow line indicates that adjacent lanes flow in the opposite way and either side is permitted to use the opposite lane to pass if it is clear and safe to do so. A center divider line that has a broken and a solid yellow line side by side indicates that the lane next to the broken line can use the opposite lane to pass. A solid yellow line on either side should not be crossed over to pass. Great job! Here are some of your next steps to getting your learner's permit or driver's license. Read and study the official driver handbook from your state DMV. Take more free practice tests at puedomanejar.com. Gather all your necessary forms and documents before you visit the DMV office. Before you know it, you'll be driving in your very own car all by yourself. puedomanejar.com. Free DMV practice tests and much more to help you pass your real exams. Visit us today.